Hello, FM2 here with part 2 of the debates. Today I'll be saying minor tidbits that got on my nerves. First, let's get out of the way who the obvious people responsible for these things are. Fanboys. Such a nasty bunch they can be. But most annoying of all is when they get mad over the fact that their favorite character doesn't make the cut and one that they hate does. That's how we got a popular term that they made and we all know and hate. Waste of character slots. In all honesty, it doesn't matter which character it is, be it an alternate version of an existing character, a joke character, or whatever. The creators put the damn guys or girls in the game for a reason. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean everyone else does. A perfect example is the ridiculous amount of negative feedback from the character X-23. The people argued that she was going to be a Wolverine clone because she's, well, a Wolverine clone. But anyone who saw the vid sees that is not the case. X-23 has about as much in common with Wolverine as Tekkaman Blade had with Tekkaman. They aren't cut and paste. Why were they mad then? They were bawling over the fact that it was not one of the big four of MvC2, all four of which were X-Men characters, by the way, because everyone and their grandma is waiting for whenever the hell Magneto and Storm are getting in the game. Just daily complaining as usual. Seriously, I have a challenge for you haters. Name me 5 Marvel characters that are not X-Men and that were not deconfirmed that you guys think are not waste of slots. And after that, name me 5 Capcom characters that were not disconfirmed, and that were not from Mega Man X, and that are not Darkstalkers, that you guys think are not wasted slots. Seriously, try. The second thing I have to go off about. Roster size. People are constantly complaining about how there will be less characters than Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which had 56, whereas Marvel vs. Capcom 3 will have at least 30 and at most 45. They are also mad that every MvC2 character will not return and want a 70 to 80 character roster at least, thinking that Capcom owes them. Hardly. You see, people, what you guys are ignoring is the most obvious difference. Here is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And here is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, from seeing these, what is the first, most brain-dead difference that you notice? If you spotted it already, give yourself a pat on the back. If not, you need some serious help, dude. The difference is that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is in 3D. Not only is it in 3D, it's only the second game in the Versus series that's in 3D. That's why when people said that TBC was slower than the others, I got pissed off. Of course it's slower, but it's the first one in 3D, what'd you expect? At least with the argument of Brawl being slower than Melee, they were both 3D, but dissing TBC for being slower than Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is like hating Mario 64 for not having as many stages as Mario World. Dream rosters and wish lists aside, getting back to reality, programming polygons is a hell of a lot harder than doing sprites. And while yes, the stages in MvC2 were 3D, the characters were not. Even in that game, only 15 characters in it were new. Everyone else was copied and pasted from the older games. And to the people who want everyone back, they suffer from what I call the Mewtwo effect. When a previous installment of a game has a character that no one really uses at all, but when they don't return in the sequel, everyone rages because they just have to be in that game. Because, let's be real for a moment. Are there any mentionable players besides Duck who use Spiral? Anyone at all who use Sabretooth, or Amingo, or even Jill? And would anyone have even bothered with Sentinel if he wasn't as overpowered as he was? Fact is, if Capcom tried to make the roster as big as people wished for, we wouldn't see MvC3 until way after Tekken X Street Fighter comes out in 2012. Maybe even longer. And I think 11 years is long enough, don't you? Lastly, the most stupid of the things. Leaked rosters. These things have already suddenly become real popular because of the fact that when one character on the damn things appears in the game, everyone acts like this list is 100% true! There was this guy on Event Hubs who said the perfect thing to describe this, and I'm going to say it here. If you had an infinite amount of monkeys with an infinite amount of typewriters typing randomly, eventually you would get the work of Shakespeare. Likewise, with an infinite amount of wish lists typed surfing all over the internet randomly, eventually you would get one that happens to stumble upon the real roster. But it doesn't mean that that's the real roster. That's just pure shit-ass luck. Just be patient, guys, because it's this crap that got everyone believing that Silver Surfer was going to be in the game a while back. Unless they make a big mess up like what Nintendo did with Brawl where they showed like 5 characters accidentally, disregard all this, please. Well, that's all from me today. Comments are always welcome so I can get your 2 cents. Anyway, this is FM2, going to be taken for a ride. See you next time.